There's another person who's quite different, but he was entrepreneurial also. His name was Doc Webb. I knew Doc Webb too. I don't know how many of you people know him, or maybe your parents knew. But he studied and learned to be a pharmacist. And he opened a drugstore, but that wasn't what he wanted to do in the end. What he wanted to do was to build a complex that was so attractive and so interesting because of the way he presented it, that people would come from near and far, and tourists would come and everything. And he had a huge sign, like a billboard, that said, "World's Most Unusual Drugstore." Webb City, world's most unusual drugstore. Why did he say that? Well, in this property, he had a grocery store, a meat market, a hairdresser, a barber, a shoe store, a gasoline station. I can't think of all the things that, little by little, but he started with one square block on 9th Street and 1st Avenue South, downtown. It was vacant, and I think he wound up with 3 of those square blocks, all filled with buildings and all doing different things. And he was somewhat of a showman, and he liked to do things that would attract people in that respect. He had a free mermaid show. People would come, tourists would come from all over, and he had these young ladies called Webb's Poster Girls. They were actually the cheerleaders at St. Pete High, and they volunteered. They were so excited, and for years they were the ones that put on this mermaid show, where he had the special costume that covered the bottom of them and everything. It was quite interesting. He also had singers. He had a petting zoo. He had all kinds of entertainment, and tourists loved it too. Now, another feature that was quite attractive and attracted a lot of people was his 9-cent breakfast. Okay? He had a breakfast they served at 7 days a week from 7 o'clock in the morning for 9 cents. And it consisted of eggs, coffee, orange juice, toast for 9 cents. Now obviously, and today that would be 50 cents. But he knew that if he could get people in his location with all the items he had to sell, they would buy something. If they got there at 8 o'clock in the morning for breakfast, before they left they'd get something. At least that was the theory, and I think it worked, because he was extremely successful. And all the retail merchants hated him. It's like Walmart today kind of thing. But he did what he tried to accomplish, and it was a tourist attraction, no question about that. And during the Second World War, where he did this then, a lot of things were rationed. We had rationing, certain food. Sugar was rationed, coffee was rationed, gasoline was rationed, and so it was hard to get those things. There were many groceries, for instance, they didn't have any coffee. I don't know how, but Doc Webb always had coffee. And not only that, but he was underselling everybody. And this is true of sugar and gasoline. The people were not parked, but around the block a few times waiting to get the gasoline, because a lot of gas stations were closed. So, as I said, he was a real showman. And the one thing I remember more than anything was the 95-cent dollar. I was attracted as a kid to that. And what it was is he advertised that you bring in 95 cents, and I will give you a US $1 silver dollar. And silver dollars were still in distribution then, although it was mostly paper dollars. But they did have like nickels, dimes, quarters, $half, and silver dollar. Well, people just couldn't get over it. First of all, they loved to get that as a souvenir, and then think of it, you pay 95 cents to get $1. After a few weeks, though, it was all around, and he was having fun with it and everything, but the U.S. Mint didn't like it. This was quite interesting, and they checked with the State Department and that. Make a long story short, they said you can't do that with U.S. currency. And they forced him to stop. But you understand, weeks went on, and I'm sure he was just laughing and having more fun, but they finally stopped him from doing it. But I never forgot that as a kid, you know. So much for a different kind of...
In the meantime, you got publicity in all the papers around the country.
Yeah, all over the country you got good publicity.
I remember.
And now, I want to talk about my dad, Joe Silverberg.